There we go. Okay. Should be all set. Let me see what we got. It looks like it's been a fascinating day. I saw, obviously, Trump and Biden meeting, but it was really interesting seeing the two of them pictured together like that, in a relaxed setting, relatively relaxed, unlike the last time they were seen together, which I guess would have been the debate stage, right? Biden seemed like, I don't even know, like shockingly happy, almost energized. Even it was weird. I don't know, maybe it was just the camera that was kind of giving him an unusual glow. We're used to seeing him on crappy like TV cameras for the most part. Maybe this just gave some more life to his skin or something. I don't know what it was, but he looked unusually happy. I'll pull up the photos in a minute. Gotta get my screen set up in Zoom too. Okay, yeah, I'll just, oh, oops, didn't do the right way. Okay, there we are. There's the photos I saw. Yeah, look at that. Look at that smile. I mean, Jill's looks like Dr. Jill. Like, it's just her usual fake smile, but that, like, legit, like, maybe it's just because it's bright out. I don't know, but he's got the eye smile. It's like a real smile. It's weird. Like, look at it. Look at him, like, sitting up all straight and perky like. Look at him. He's energized. He's happy. He's in control. He's good. He's got his faculties about him for the most part. For now. Look at again, standing up straight. Look at him there. What is even going on here? This is just strange. Am I wrong? I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. There were obviously those rumors on election day that Dr. Jill had voted for the Donald. She wore that red suit allegedly. I still don't know whether that picture was ever confirmed to have taken place when she was voting or what. I don't know. There's obviously been the rumors of contention between the Biden camp and the Harris camp. There's a theory. Trump offered him free pudding for life. Yeah. That could be it. My guess would be ice cream though, because I can understand that one. Like, I'll give him that one. Ice cream's delicious. But yeah, I don't know. Where'd the other post go? Hold on. Where'd your other comment go? He confessed to President Trump, so now he feels better. He confessed. The weight has been lifted. I don't know. You'd think he'd confess to his priest, not to Trump, but all right. Where is it? I know there was a serious one in here somewhere. There must be, right? He looks pardoned. I mean, yeah. I guess he could pardon himself, but then I mean, how would that look? That looks self-serving and well, guilty. Having Trump do it looks in the spirit of reconciliation and peacemaking, right? I'm not saying I condone such an action. I really don't know how I would feel about that. I guess it would depend. It would depend on things. It would depend on I don't know what he's giving in return. What is Joe giving in return for his escaping any investigation and justice whatsoever for any potential crimes? I don't know. I wonder. Just hypothetically speaking. Who knows if that's it? That's maybe possible. Maybe he just secretly likes the guy. Always has. How weird would that be? He's a fan of The Apprentice. He's finally gotten to meet his television hero. He really liked that part where Trump said, "You're fired." This is his favorite part. Who knows? Is there I know there's got to be video. Let's pull up a clip. Since we're on it, let's pull up a clip of it. I got my sound shared, right? Yeah. Spot the difference. Look at him, man. He happy. Trump too. Both of them. Very somber, serious here. I don't know if maybe there was another point later at which they smiled. Could just be carefully chosen photos. I don't recall. It's been a while since I watched that. Years. All right, where's the video at? Did I got the clip here?
History.
No, it's just people standing. Oh, there we go. Okay, there it is.
President-elect and former president. Thank you. Donald, congratulations. Thank you. And looking forward to having a, like we said,
What?
smooth transition.
Sorry, I can't hear over that freaking. There we go.
Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need.
Oh gosh.
And we're going to get a chance to
Can't hear a single thing.
talk about some of that today. So, welcome back. President.
I give up. Someone's taking a bath in the sink upstairs, so apparently. Yeah, I'm unfortunately positioned like right by this little closet. Right there. Where all the pipes run. Like all of them. For like the whole house, everything. And they just hiss every time someone uses the sink. It's obnoxious. Okay, any more clips with that? Oh, here's a longer clip. Okay, that's better. There's a more serious moment. Okay. Yeah, I really ought to like try soundproofing that thing though. The closet. It's obnoxious. I mean, it's super small. It's like, oh man, there's a bunch of fishing poles in there. Forgot about that. Yeah, it's super tiny. It's like 2 feet by 2 feet. never looked into soundproofing before. Not really sure what you can do. What's possible. I'm gonna give that a go. We're gonna try that, because that's freaking annoying. It's always annoyed the crap out of me. Yeah, this is so strange. He's winking. He's winking. Some of y'all, if you're watching through DLive, you probably can't hear the pipes, because Zoom does a decent job of cutting out background noise. So, on most platforms, you might not hear it, for the most part.
Thank you.
But I sure can. In fact, I can hardly hear anything else when it's crazy how loud it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, strange moment.
What you need,
Oh, yeah, there's one you can actually hear. Okay.
make sure you're accommodated, what you need, and we're gonna get a chance to talk about some of that today. So,
Good.
welcome
Thank you
back.
very much, and thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
I saw one of you asking, was it something about the fireplace? Like, what was it? Like, if it was normal for the fireplace to be going? I don't know. Where was it? Man, that is a... must have fell off the comment chain by now, but I think someone was asking if it was normal for the fire to be a roaring. I think it was... I mean, it's cold as heck when I went out this morning, but I don't know about this time of day. I wasn't outside around then. I imagine it was probably pretty cold, though, based on how cold it was in the morning. Yeah, it was pretty cold. 40s high. Which is cold for how it's been lately. It's been actually unusually warm for the like the better part of like the last couple of weeks, up until the last day or so. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense they got the fire going. Plus, it's a big moment. It's aesthetic. It's warm. It's inviting. Like, yeah, I would have done it if I were them. All right, where did my list of stuff go? Guess I have to go back to it. All right. Let's see. Oh my gosh, this is wild. Polymarket guy had his house raided. And his phone and electronics seized. In the article here, it says, I think a comment from, I don't know if it's the lawyer, but it's someone with knowledge, some connection to the guy, to this kid, the CEO. And they expect it's due to it's like retaliation for Polymarket predicting correctly the outcome of the election. Yeah, piggybacking off of liberal media reports that accuse Polymarket of market manipulation and rigging its polls in favor of Trump. Yeah, piggybacking off of liberal media reports that accuse Polymarket of market manipulation and rigging its polls in favor of Trump. Yeah, piggybacking off of liberal media reports that accuse Polymarket of market manipulation,
whack as shit.
and rigging its polls in favor of Trump. Yeah,
How do I, like-
off of liberal media reports
Why did my... That is so strange. Random window just unmutes out of nowhere. Didn't have it open. All right. Anyway, where was I? That is so, like, discombobulating. Having your own voice interrupt you in the middle of a thought. Okay. And where'd the comment from the person with knowledge of the case? Where'd that go? Okay. Grand political theater at its worst. They could have asked his lawyer for any of these things. Instead, they staged a so-called raid so they can leak it to the media and use it for obvious political reasons, of course, you know. He was not provided with a reason for the raid, but the source suspects it was political retribution, since Polymarket accurately predicted an easy Trump win, as opposed to traditional polls. Yeah. The source also speculated the government is piggybacking off of liberal media reports. This is obvious political retribution by the outgoing administration against Polymarket for providing a market that correctly called the 2024 presidential election. Polymarket is a fully transparent prediction market that helps everyday people understand better the events that matter most to them, including elections. We charge no fees, take no trading positions, and allow observers from around the world to analyze all market data as a public good. Yeah, Copeland posted on X with a new phone a little while ago. There it is. New phone. Who dis? So he's done. He's out. I don't know if they arrest. I don't think they arrest him. I think they just seized his stuff for now. I wonder if Kalshi is next. And I think the other one is Predict It. Yeah. I guess we'll see. Billionaire Trump supporter Peter Thiel. Oh yeah, raised about $70 million in funding for Polymarket. Huh. Copeland has been photographed looking chummy with Donald Trump Jr. Wonder if they're going to go for it with this and try to say that Polymarket influenced the election. Are they going to do it? I guess we'll see. They're clearly after something. I don't know that they go that far. That would be pretty ballsy. Maybe this, I don't know, maybe that explains why they have been so easygoing about the whole thing, relatively. Compared to, I think, what most of us expected. I think we all fully expected nationwide protests, riots, the whole nine. But, we didn't get that. We got Joe welcoming Donald Trump to the White House with a nice fire in the fireplace. For now. Who knows? Who knows if that's going to last? I don't know. We'll see. Any more on this? No. Oh man. Freaking Duke Vane, the now confirmed Fed of some kind. I guess the question is exactly what kind of Fed he was. Who infiltrated, or seemed to have infiltrated, a militia and was attempting to provoke them into, at a bare minimum, making explosives, and also pitched the idea to them of unifying all militias in Virginia under Russian command in exchange for being paid $50,000 a month. Of course, they said, no, you're crazy, and reported him to an independent journalist who then outed them, or outed the guy, Duke. Just absolutely insane case. They refused to say throughout the court proceedings what agency he worked for. I think it finally came out in like the hearing, I think it was the hearing just previous to this one, that he was with National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. At least allegedly, but that's, I'm pretty confident at this point that's like sheep dip. He's working for some other agency. That's just a cover. Because he got out with time served. He got away with time served after manufacturing ricin, asking a militia to make explosives, get explosives precursors, trying to encourage them to make explosives, printing off documents from his work computer at the government about how to make explosives, and then giving them to the people in the militia. And then the whole Russia thing, asking them about plans in the event of a presidential assassination. Yeah, did all this, and they let him go with time served. And, I mean, as part of that, there's 3 years supervised release, 4 months home detention, and a $5,000 fine. Woo. Home detention. He'll probably be able to work from home. I wonder if he's even lost his government job. That's, I wonder if we'll ever actually be able to find out. Unfortunately, after this, I doubt we'll ever find anything new about this. Unless some weird bit of info comes out in the FOIA. There he is. And his wife.
Any comment this morning, Duke?
Only comment she's ever given, from what I remember, is, "You ruined everything." Something to that effect. Crazy story. Finally over with for now. Oh, we have more info here? Hold on. Okay, sentenced to time served. Additional details from inside the courtroom. Okay, good. I wonder if there's any additional tidbits we're going to get from this. I haven't read this yet. The hearing began with an argument over whether the guideline sentencing range for the ricin would be 24 to 30 months or 30 to 37 months, which would be based upon a first offender reduction that isn't eligible if the crime involved a weapon of mass destruction, you mean? Like that kind? Judge Anthony Trenga determined that for the purposes of sentencing, ricin is a weapon, setting the guideline sentencing range for Duke at 30 to 37 months of prison. Prosecution then presented that this was a reactive WMD case, explaining the original charges for which he faced life plus 45 years after repeatedly suggesting a militia group build explosives. He really wanted them to do it. They didn't. They were smart. The prosecution said that following his arrest, Duke came forward to us and explained why he did what he did. I don't think that's really how you define came forward. But okay, whatever. We came out of those discussions convinced that he did not have a terroristic purpose. The prosecution saying this. Notably, they did not say, of course, what that explanation was. Gee, it's almost like... Well, do I really need to spell it out? The prosecution says they now believe Duke had no violent intent, but appalling judgment. And as a national security professional, he should have known better than to make ricin. They requested 30 months jail, the bottom of the guidelines. He was likely making the ricin with the full knowledge of whoever was handling him, and with their go-ahead. Assuming this is, anything like other cases where they've entrapped people in militias. In the Michigan case, there was a guy that they pitched by, I think they called him Red. It was his alleged name, his alias. He was pitched to the guys as like a guy that knows how to get boom stuff, explosives, that kind of crap. And same thing. Like it's what they do in every one of these cases. They have a Fed offering to give them the components, or just basically hand them the thing ready to go. It's so disgusting. I have a very hard time seeing any way that this guy is not doing this at the behest of someone in government. Like, I don't see any other way this makes sense. Could be wrong, I suppose. There's no hard proof, but I mean, time served for making ricin. For making ricin in your basement, while a member of a militia, no less. Other guys who did, well, way less than that, ended up in prison, federal supermax prison, for years.
Who goes by Ice, and member Cody Beckner, who goes by Sasquatch. The pair provided extensive screenshots and documents showing that since joining...
Oh, this, I think this talks about the case a bit. I'll play it for those of you that aren't up on it.
The Virginia Cocoas, a pro-gun prepper militia based in Eastern Virginia and formerly affiliated with the Boogaloo movement, tells News to Share that they recently kicked out a member they believe may have been plotting an entrapment attempt against the group, or worse. Russell Richardson Vane IV first made contact with the Virginia Cocoas in April of 2022, according to the group's leader Eddie Ray, who goes by Ice, and member Cody Beckner, who goes by Sasquatch. The pair provided extensive screenshots and documents showing that since joining, Vane, who went by Duke, engaged in an escalating sequence of unusual behavior that included apparent provocations for the group to develop homemade explosives. Sasquatch and Ice spoke exclusively to News to Share to provide a thorough timeline of events that led up to Duke being removed from their organization.
So we're here today to let everyone out there know about a guy we had in our group that did some things that we had to release him for. He goes by Duke, but his name's Russell Richardson Vane the Fourth.
Essentially, we had an individual who joined up with us and unfortunately was trying to pass some pretty serious information that we did not want anything to do with. Whether it was from his own stupidity that he didn't know any better, or he had some malicious intent. We had to let him go, and because of this, we're trying to let other people know what to watch out for in case this might happen to them.
Oh, the guy. That's Squatch. All right. Crazy story, man. Yep, so they did not say what his purpose in making the ricin was. But it was not a terroristic purpose. He told them so. The prosecution says they now believe Duke had no violent intent but appalling judgment and should have known better than to make ricin. The defense agreed that the original suspicions of terroristic intention were reasonable, based on the Virginia Cocoa's allegations in my video below. But they say he wasn't a Timothy McVeigh, he wasn't the Unabomber, he wasn't a domestic terrorist. They now agree. The defense explained that Duke's flirtations with the Cocoas were not illegal. They weren't. And that bomb-making instructions he gave the militia, after being told not to, were for official use only, not classified. He added that his actions with the militia shouldn't be considered relevant conduct. Adding some details not heard before, the defense added that when Duke made the ricin in December 2022 or January of 2023, it took him 4 to 6 hours, but he got bored and put it away, forgetting about it. He got bored making the ricin. After what I assume was a significant amount of time preparing to make the ricin. You know, going after all the required precursors and ordering them online, I have to assume. Waiting for them to get shipped, getting all the gear in order. No idea what the heck you need, but it was only found after the raid on his home in April. The defense agreed with the prosecution that Duke had been fully cooperative during his proffer, fully candid and truthful. They say there was even talk of a 5K, reduction of sentence over assistance to government, but that he had nothing to offer that could get it. The defense took issue with prosecutors using what-if statements about Duke trying to get the militia to build bombs, which would be illegal. Well, Judge, you're not sentencing on what if, Duke's attorney said. The defense added that Duke knows it's a crime now to make ricin. Somehow he didn't know before. He just didn't know that ricin was a no-no substance. He didn't know. He had no clue. He didn't really realize at the time the seriousness of what he did. They asked for time served or home confinement so he can work and support his family. Finally, Duke spoke. Wow. He described a deep state of regret, embarrassment, and sorrow, and says he's
ashamed that I cannot do my job to serve my country. My mental health is improving now, he also said. Judge Trenga began his sentencing that it does appear Dukes Ricin was motivated by curiosity, and that he'd also factor in the conduct that led to the investigation. What does that mean? He said that Duke does not pose a threat to the community. Then, now, a little over a half year after he was first arrested, Duke was sentenced, time served, 4 months, 3 years supervised release, 4 months home confinement, and a $5,000 fine. Judge Trenga also instructed Duke to participate in any programs the probation department wants, not engage with any extremist or terrorist groups or activity, not experiment with any dangerous substances, such as ricin, sell, transfer, or dispose of his 23 firearms. Done. Well, at least there's that. It's a small punishment for what he very well may have been doing. Crazy case, dude. So weird. Okay. Anything else back here? Oh, Lawrence O'Donnell screeching about the Department of Government Efficiency. Wish we had time to get to that. All right, that's from yesterday. Cool. Well, here's a fun one.
Elon Musk. So we know that Elon Musk owns Starlink, right? And we also know that Starlink was used as the internet access for the polling machines, right? What some of you may not know is that 2 days ago, one of the Starlink satellites that Elon Musk owns miraculously just fell apart and burst into flames over Frisco, Texas. People just thought it was part of a meteor shower. Does anybody know what the punishment actually is for espionage and treason? Because I think it should be a firing squad of black women.
No. A Shaniqua firing squad?
For what they were just put through this last week. I also think that all of his assets and his billions of dollars should be seized, and that money should go to pay reparations to black people and Native Americans. So we know.
Dear God. When are the mental institutions opening back up? I've got one. I've got one for the first one. First one to open in stores. Okay. This is good. Federal Appeals Court has ordered CNN to stand trial in a defamation suit involving James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. Whoa. CNN's in big doo-doo now. I mean, they're already having to fire, what was it, hundreds of employees, something like that? Oh. Speaking of the whole Polymarket thing, interesting rewind to 6 days ago, the day after the election.
The thing that is undeniable was the night of the election, Polymarket was the first destination to basically convey that Trump had won. And it was a good 2-3 hours ahead of media, so much so that people who were watching legacy media, hours later were like, oh, wow, Polymarket has Kamala so low. We were in the office and we were looking at the odds and on Polymarket, and it looked like a done deal. And if you were just watching TV, you would think it's neck and neck. Right. And I think this is a complete shift of the Overton window. This is a it is an inflection point in news and politics where Polymarket is the thing that
They big mad about something. Yep. Oh, this is from last month. Inside, I tagged it for myself to read later, but I'll drop the link for anyone else who wants to check it out from Pirate Wires. Inside the government's attempt to destroy election markets, like betting markets, in the name of democracy. Which accounts, what accounts for the CFTC's sheer hatred of political prediction markets that has led it to conduct a years-long campaign to ban them from the United States. Until Kalshi ended up winning a landmark decision in its favor and opened up, I think, wasn't it just like a couple months ago, pretty much? First in the U.S. to allow U.S. citizens to bet legally. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to get him next. What's his name? Kalshi, CEO. I wonder if he's commented on this yet. Tariq Mansour, that's it. Let's see if he's had anything to say about this. No. Not there. Replies? Anything? Private. Alright, he might be staying quiet. No, looks like nothing. I mean, if this has anything to do with like predicting, I don't know what what actual charge could they get them on other than some like bizarre argument about influencing the elections, some kind of suppression, like voter suppression maybe. I mean, if it's anything like that, you would think they would have to go after Kalshi as well. I think Kalshi was more or less in line, like just behind Polymarket. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, we'll probably know before too much longer. I doubt they'll wait long to move if they're going to go after him. Crazy. All right, I think that's everything I tagged. Oh, other than, yeah, they may go after Elon too.
It was interesting because the beginning of the night, no one knew what was going to happen. So you're watching the first results roll in, and there's like this weird thing. And then Trump gets way ahead, but you're like, you don't want to like get too hopeful. Like, how far ahead is he? He's ahead by 100 points. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, and you're like, what is it? And some channels are like, and then every channel's kind of different.
Yeah, they had different numbers. I was getting a different number off my Apple News update than I was getting off of CNN, and then I was texting people like Tulsi and JD Vance. I was getting a different Apparently, Elon created an app, and he knew who won 4 hours before the results.
I mean, I knew 4 hours before the results. I went to sleep. It was like such a sure thing.
So as the results were coming in, before 4 hours before they called it, Dana White told me Elon was like, "I'm leaving. It's over. Donald won." He just fucking.
He's probably just looking at Polymarket.
He just fucking somehow or another.
I'm gonna go back into my pod and evaporate.
I don't know what he's getting, where he's pulling his data from, but he had like the most accurate data in terms of the rural states hadn't put their results in yet, but yet Trump was ahead in these states. Kamala's never going to win those states, so tabulated that and like put it all together. I don't know how he did it. But
yeah,
Dana. I haven't even talked to Elon about this. I don't know like the Dana translation, but Dana said he had an app, and he was like showing them. He's like, it's over.
And
Oh, like a custom built, I guess like a custom built, probably a web app or something. Interesting. All right, I think that was all I tagged myself. I think. Oh no, sorry. There's one more. It's the Canadian military. Might have a bit of a problem doing anything other than marching in a circle around a mall. Actually, they even have problems with that. Just look. This is supposed to be marching? Like together? I think we probably did better in kindergarten. Dear Lord. Yeah, that is at the West Edmonton Mall Remembrance Ceremony. A remembrance ceremony. They're doing this in someone's honor. The honor of someone or multiple someones who are dead. Ugh. Worst part about this, it was filmed by Senator Paula Simmons, and she was super proud to be watching those soldiers march. I have no idea who that is, but I assume if you're Canadian, you'll know. Oh, gosh. Okay. Now, let's see what Steph tagged us with here. We got roughly an hour left. Okay. We'll go... How far back are we going to go here? Oh, I guess we'll start there. There's the touchdown this morning in DC. Never forgets to salute. Had a guy. Some actual MAGA hats out in the open in Washington, D.C.
And moments from now, President-elect Trump and President Biden will meet at the White House. We saw the motorcade is underway, so this is...
There they are. I mean, they're under me. There you go.
Is happening. We've really enjoyed being with you all as we go through this historic day. And Karl Rove is still with us. And as this drive happens, there's anticipation on both sides.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is an important moment for the country. We need to see these two men meet. We need to hear that they have had a cordial conversation. Be nice to see both of them even briefly afterwards, but this is an important historic moment that's vital to our democracy. The peaceful...
Our democracy. That was Karl Rove speaking. Just FYI. In case you missed it at the bottom. We already saw them shaking hands. But in case you missed it.
We can make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
Good.
Welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough. And it's, in many cases, not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. And a transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate it.
You're welcome.
A transition so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get.
Well, Mr. President.
It'll be very smooth. Special Counsel Jack Smith reportedly plans to resign before Trump can fire him. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Jack. Yeah. Trump creating a MAGA military with purge of generals, veterans group warns. Okay. Vote Vets, a progressive veterans group, has warned that Trump's proposal to fire top generals, those the TV generals, good riddance, goodbye, get them gone. Never heard of Vote Vets, but ew. This was an interesting move. It's definitely been pissing all the right people off. So, at least for the most part. Pete Hegseth is Secretary of Defense. I think we just saw Pete Hegseth pop up in a conveniently timed, big time interview on Sean Ryan's podcast not too long ago. I think it was like a couple weeks ago. Let's see. Yeah, not even a week ago.
Are different than that, because
I still have yet to watch this whole interview, but definitely gonna go do that now. I mean, not right now, but later. Trump announces the Department of Government Efficiency will be headed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. It was yesterday. Kristi Noem as Secretary of Homeland Security. She'll be coming after people's dogs so she can kill them, Why not? That was the thing they got mad at her for, right? What did she do with the dogs? She talked about killing a dog that was sick. Something like that. I forget what it was. They hated that. And it was definitely a bit weird. It was pretty strange. But I just remembered that about it. Let's see. Kristi Noem. Dog. Her killing of dog.
Kristi Noem speaking out in her first TV interview about fatally shooting her dog because
what an intro. Oh, man. Could happen to anybody. So what's she doing again? Homeland Security? Yeah. Secretary of Homeland Security. I know other than the dog incident, she's well liked in her home state, so probably a good choice. I mean, I honestly would think there'd be better choices than her. To be frank, I'm not saying she's a bad. I think she's an okay choice, but I would think there would be better choices than. Why? Why no? When is she up for? When is she up for re-election? Maybe it's like a strategic move to force a new election now, like a special election, to kind of ride the wave, ride the red wave we just experienced. Cement another governor for
a full term rather than, I mean, she's been in since 2019, so maybe that's it. I wonder. Just popped into my head. I don't know. Okay. Announces White House senior staff. Obviously Dan Scavino, of course. Stephen Miller, James Blair, and Taylor Budowich? Not sure. What is Soros Democracy Alliance rears its ugly head with a resurgence of the dark money-led Serbian Otpor, aka Resistance. First meeting planned for next week. What? Nonprofits vow a new resistance. Will donors pay up? Groups that used lawsuits and protests to sign me. The first Trump administration will face longer odds this time. Courts are more conservative and patrons are dejected. Yeah. Serbian? Interesting. This year, the Women's March is calling for another gathering just before Trump takes office. I think it'll be the 18th. Group's executive director, Rachel O'Leary Carmona, said tens of thousands of people have confirmed, but it is impossible to know how many will show. Another set of nonprofits is setting up war rooms to research Mr. Trump's nominees and advisors. The goal is to highlight conflicts of interest or past scandals, which could derail a nomination or a policy idea. I would guess that the first lawsuit is going to drop on the 21st of January, Mr. Trump's first full day in office, said Mr. Suckling of the Center for Biological Diversity. The groups opposing Mr. Trump's agenda also include a separate kind of non-charitable nonprofits, sometimes known as dark money groups, which have more leeway to get involved in politics. They include People for the American Way, whose president Svante Myrick said the group would try to block Mr. Trump's plans for mass deportations of undocumented migrants at a very local level. Then some other ones, whatever, who cares? Blah. Yeah, wonder what that Women's March is gonna be like this coming January. I think we all remember the Pink Hats of 2016. Who threw all those logs on the fire?
Out today, where the press goes in at the beginning and then gets kicked out. The opposite ones is that there is a Marine. And to set the scene a little bit, we are here at the Biden-Harris.
I mean, they definitely set up a nice stack of them. Neatly situated.
Group of curious staffers, again working still for the Biden-Harris administration, have gathered just to try to get a glimpse of the next president. Beyond that, we don't have very much information other than what we all saw, the two presidents sitting there next to a raging fire. Somebody came and put a couple extra logs on that thing this morning just for the special guest. And so we're in position. We are in position if Donald Trump, and it was really something because Donald Trump is infamous for talking for a very, very long time in those Oval Office pool sprays. Joe Biden, his host, is infamous for saying nothing and then just complaining to his guests that people are shouting questions at him. Donald Trump was letting his host lead the way.
Well, and I mean that would be appropriate, right? He's still the president, and as Martha and Bill and I have been talking about on set today, this might have been a situation where the White House wanted to keep things relatively short. I mean, do you really want the incoming president-elect, who Biden told, welcome twice, welcome back once, do you really want that person to take over the meeting and be the only thing that anybody talks about? I mean, this is a moment of competition between these two men, too. And Peter, you've seen this play out, just as we all have over the last few weeks and months with Kamala Harris atop the ticket. There were times when it felt like these men were still talking to each other, particularly Joe Biden, as he went after Trump supporters, calling them garbage, and one on-camera Zoom situation that went viral. So this is a big moment for both of them. I can understand, as Martha has pointed out today, why the White House might want to keep this relatively brief. It doesn't leave room, any oxygen for big mistakes, and Joe Biden has made some. His mouth tends to get him in trouble. And both men don't have a problem in the category of expressing themselves. So, Peter, thank you so very much. So we're...
Okay, Harris. Senator John Thune, elected Senate Majority. Ugh, gotta be fucking kidding me. So it ended up being soon, huh? Scott's bid comes up short. Well, boo. Oh well. Let's see, we got a clip on the Veritas CNN lawsuit here. That might not want to load. Oh well. We already covered that, so we'll keep going. A list of who voted for Rick Scott. Unfortunately, not long. Marsha Blackburn, Ted Cruz, Bill Hagerty, Ron Johnson, Mike Lee, Cynthia Lummis, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Eric Schmidt, Rick Scott, Cindy Hyde-Smith, Tommy Tuberville, and J.D. Vance. That is a significantly different list than the purported list from the other day. I can already see that. Blackburn was not on here. Cruz not there, from what I remember, at least from what I remember. Rubio, I believe, was on the list as voting yes. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know about the others. Okay. Elon Musk threatening to fund primary challengers against congressmen and senators who go against the Trump agenda, per multiple Capitol Hill sources. Backstabbers will be removed. Oh, that's great. That's hilarious. I mean, don't they pretty much know that already? I guess with people who are new, they're not going to know yet, but most of them, they should probably already have an idea. President-elect Trump has started to announce his picks. NBC News is reporting that Trump is planning to purge top Pentagon officials. Bye-bye.
Welcome back. It has been a busy 24 hours for the Trump transition team. In addition to prepping for his White House meeting with President Biden next hour, the president-elect has announced a handful of key picks for his new administration. The latest batch focuses on national security. Trump has tapped Fox News host Pete Hegseth to be his defense secretary, a pick that took some Republicans on the Hill by surprise. He also announced John Ratcliffe will be returning to his administration, this time as CIA director.
I think that's probably the best pick of the bunch that I've seen so far. I think Hegseth's a decent choice. No, I really don't know what that's about. And Waltz, I don't know well enough to really have an opinion, so.
Ratcliffe, you'll recall, served as Director of National Intelligence in the final months of Trump's first term. And I also want to bring in now a pair of former national security officials. Former Trump-Pence Homeland Security staffer Olivia Troy and former senior director at the National Security Council, Michael Allen. So, Michael, this incoming defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth, he's a combat veteran, Fox News host. Here's what he has said recently about how he wants to reshape the Department of Defense. Listen.
You got to fire. You got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go. I think a huge one is women in combat and quotas. I think the way they pushed that under Obama in a way that had nothing, zero to do with efficacy, zero to do with lethality and capability.
You don't like women in combat?
No.
So it appears that at least one of his priorities is fighting this internal sort of culture war.
I mean, that shouldn't even be clapped for. I guess that's where we're at. 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been clapped for. It would have just been common effing sense, but...
At the department. What message does that send to allies and adversaries?
Well, the message I think they should receive is that Trump, of course, is an unconventional president, and he's gone for an unconventional pick. Trump purposefully wants someone that's disruptive. He doesn't want to draw on someone from the defense establishment. His experience, right or wrong, in the first term was that his
makes sense.
First national security cabinet had their own policy preferences in mind rather than Trump's priorities. So I think this is something Pete Hegseth is going to have to stand in front of the Congress, stand in front of the media, explain himself. Right now, we know he's a decorated veteran and he's an Ivy educated, Ivy League pedigreed person. And look, the way our Congress works, all of these issues that may arise about
they've all, of course, jumped to his position as a host on Fox News. Is it Fox and Friends, I guess, that he's on, right? But he actually is a relatively qualified guy.
He said in the past will be surfaced and thoroughly audited.
And Olivia, we just...
And comes from outside the defense establishment, for at least as far as I know.
Just have some news in right
He's young, though.
now. The transition team confirming that Stephen Miller and Dan Scavino will return to the White House with Trump. You spoke earlier about how border czar Tom Homan, had some concerns of yours. What's your reaction to Miller's official return?
Well, I think we are very clear on who's going to be running policy across the board. And in that role, I have no doubt that he will be overseeing the entire policy apparatus, whether it's the National Security Council and throughout the federal government. This is something that he really aspired to do. This is something that he worked very hard to do during the first Trump administration, except now he's been granted the official reins and role.
That's a good point. Sorry to jump back to Hegseth, but Cold Steel says the vets know him. That's actually a good point. Probably is broadly well liked by most, at least the sane veterans that are still left. There have to be a good number still. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who I would have picked, but I think Hegseth's a pretty solid choice. I'm really now eager to check out that interview with Sean Ryan from last week. Miller, that's right. Border hardliner.
Well, I think we are very clear on who's going to be running policy across the board. And in that role, I have no doubt that he will be overseeing the entire policy apparatus, whether it's the National Security Council and throughout the federal government. This is something that he really aspired to do. This is something that he worked very hard to do during the first Trump administration, except now he's been granted the official reins and role.
NBC is reporting that Trump is planning to purge top Pentagon officers, and the Wall Street Journal is now reporting that Trump's team is considering a plan to create a board of retired service members who could recommend the firing of generals. Michael, what do you...
That's a fascinating idea. depending on how it could be hijacked and abused. I have no idea how he intends to set it up. I have to assume he'd be looking out for, obviously be looking out for that, but I mean, on the face, that's a really interesting idea.
What do you think about this idea of a review board, and what would the dismantling of people in the military currently, especially in those leadership positions, mean?
Well, my first reaction is, as the commander-in-chief, he, of course, has the plenary authority to do whatever he wants within the confines of the U.S. military and, of course, within the executive branch. But this is a hangover from what President Trump feels like he experienced in his first term, where he faulted Chairman Milley and others for seeming to work outside of his chain of command. And there's a broad view, I think, among Trump folks coming into the government that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and others in the General's Officers Corps may not support Trump and feel like they're independent. That's not my experience with that group of people. I think that they will salute and execute lawful orders, but we're going to have to work through a process in the intelligence community and within the Department of Defense Officer Corps so that the president has restored trust in them. I think there's going to be transparency, there's going to be accountability, there's going to be disruption, but at the end of the day, I think the president will find these are loyal Americans who are doing their best for American national security.
But I can't help but wonder if a purge, as we've used that word, if that could put America in a vulnerable position.
It would depend on how broad it would be and under what grounds.
I highly doubt it will be very broad.
People were being purged for. But
if there is anything of the sort to begin with, like in any real sense.
But I think when they look at the General Officer Corps, they're going to find that entire generations were not sort of spiked with DEI and are not working for a sort of climate agenda. Some would have been. Some of that's honestly from the Biden political appointees, not so much the General Officer Corps. So I think once they look into this, once they get more comfortable, and that's why Pete Hegseth, he has the president's trust.
Yeah.
And if Hegseth looks at it and says it's going fine, or we only, had to take the following actions, that might be good enough, and we can get down to the business.
Unusually decent analysis for MSNBC. Who is this guy? Who is this?
Of securing the country from national security threats.
Olivia, I want to ask about another pick, John Ratcliffe as CIA director. As you know, he was Trump's director of national intelligence in 2020.
Well, here we go.
And January 6th witness Cassidy Hutchinson testified that as DNI, Ratcliffe wanted nothing to do with Trump's post-election scheme and advised White House staff not to go along with that. Does it surprise you Trump would bring him back after that? And does it give you any reassurance?
Well, I think out of all the picks, I think that one certainly could have been worse. So at least I was sort of relieved to see that it was him. I do think that this group will operate together regardless, however, and I do think that these are true loyalists.
Who is this? Who's this lady again? Olivia Troy, former Trump Pence national security official. Okay.
Regardless, however, and I do think that these are true loyalists to the Donald Trump agenda. I will go back to something, though, about following the rule of law here. I mean, and the Pentagon. What really concerns me about that, Anna, is the fact that this is someone who's going to be at the helm of people who do serve in a nonpartisan way. This is someone who has personally chosen to go on talk radio and on podcasts that are with right-wing conspiracy theorist people that are completely out there in the right-wing agenda.
Wait, who? Who's she talking about?
And so I question that type of personality and their loyalty to the Constitution when they decide to go on fear-mongering channels like that and the type of leadership they're going to exhibit before the world.
Which one? Who's she referring to here?
Podcasts that are with them to go on who his personal way. This is someone who his partisan way. This of people who do serve in a nonpartisan way. This is someone who his
Is she talking about Ratcliffe?
This is someone thing though about following the rule of law here. I mean, and the Pentagon. What really concerns me about that, Anna, is
the Pentagon. So Hegseth. She's talking about Hegseth. I think, maybe.
is the fact that this is someone who's going to be at the helm of people who do serve in a nonpartisan way. This is someone who
talking about Fox host as Pentagon chief at the bottom, Chiron, so I don't know if they jump back to Hegseth there. Conspiracy theorist I guess she must be talking about Sean Ryan. Gotta be. I think, yeah, he does cover some stuff like that. That's right, he does. Yeah. Schumer sounds like the kiss of death. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Mr. President, I have just been told that Senator John Thune will be the next Republican leader in the Senate. I congratulate Senator Thune on being chosen by his colleagues as the next Republican leader. I look forward to working with him. We've done many bipartisan things here in the Senate together, and I hope that continues. As you know, I strongly believe that bipartisanship is the best and often the only way to get things done in the Senate. Mr. President.
Oh, joy. Bipartisanship. Trump has left the White House as of obviously a few hours back. Received a letter of purpose of transition. It's called Letter of Readiness. We still don't know what's in it. I don't know.
And breaking news right now, we did not know how the end of the meeting would look. This is live. This is outside the White House, where President-elect Donald Trump has just left the White House. That's his motorcade right there, after meeting for well over an hour and a half with President Biden. Now, remember, their comments on camera were very short last hour, and we've been playing that for you because this moment in history is huge. Those two men have gotten together. We know that there were expectations of a peaceful transfer. They both talked about that, a peaceful transition. This was the precursor to that, and they both acknowledged that's the goal, and they were, as Trump put it, it's a nice day in the world today. We also know that the First Lady Jill Biden handed a letter of purpose about peaceful transition. It's called a letter of readiness, and we have not learned exactly what's in that.
Is this like a tradition, or is this entirely unusual? Like,
so now Trump has left the White House, and America. And breaking news.
This is something that she's come up with, that she is calling a letter of readiness.
That's the goal, and they were, as Trump put, know that the First Lady Jill Biden handed a letter of.
I mean, obviously, this is going to remind people of the envelopes from the funeral, the HW funeral.
Purpose about peaceful transition.
Maybe I'm just wondering if this is like a
purpose about peaceful transition,
like a tradition thing, or I don't recall ever hearing about this during previous transitions, but
it's called a letter of readiness, and we have not learned exactly what's in that. So now Trump has left the White House of purpose about peaceful transition. It's letter of purpose about peaceful transition.
Letter of purpose about peaceful transition?
It's called a letter of readiness, and we have.
A letter of ready. Okay. Very, very strange. Okay, Steph says, I think I tagged an explanation. They state later. Gotcha. Let's see. Jill Biden extends an olive branch to Trump. Maybe that's it. After Melania snubbed White House meeting. Yeah, that's right. She's mad about the, the panties drawer. First Lady expressed her team's readiness to assist with the transition. Melania had a conflicting... Oh, so it was because of a conflicting appointment? Allegedly? I mean, that's the excuse, of course, but... All right. So they mention the letter here. I'm looking. Let's search for a letter. Jill Biden gave Trump a letter from Melania and vowed to assist her in any way possible after Melania snubbed her invitation to tea. She gave the president-elect a handwritten letter of congratulations for Melania, which also expressed her team's readiness to assist with the transition. Okay. There we go. So it was a letter for Melania. Traditionally, when the outgoing president hosts the incoming president-elect, the First Lady hosts her successor for tea in the residence. That's right. Oh, okay. That makes sense, I guess. It's a long history of First Ladies hosting their successors, with one recent and notable exception. While Michelle Obama hosted Melania Trump in the aftermath of the 2016 election, Melania Trump did not meet with Jill Biden after the contentious 2020 race. Now, what happened that time? Was that due to Melania again saying, screw you? Or was that time Jill? I don't remember. Or maybe is it not even known? 4 years ago, Trump snubbed Joe Biden. Okay, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, so Trump said F you to Joe, basically. Of course, due to all the election stuff. Refusing to invite him for the traditional Oval Office meeting and delaying the transition process. Melania Trump followed her husband's lead and didn't reach out to Jill Biden. And then we got CNN talking about it here.
I were sitting here as Caitlin was on, looking at that imagery, and it's really stunning. Those are Biden staffers.
Nice.
They're in the EOB.
We get a moving image this time. The last time we had all of the we had Valerie Jarrett and friends snapped in that now infamous still image. But here we get to see them all in motion.
Sitting here as Caitlin was on, looking at that imagery, and it's really stunning. Those are Biden staffers. They're in the EOB. Some of them are lower level, some of them perhaps a little bit higher, but they're there to watch a history moment being made that nobody standing there wanted. I were sitting here.
Hopefully we get the repeat of the now infamous one from 2016 with all the high level staffers. I want to see Podesta and friends lined up, mean mugging Trump and team. That's what I want to see. Tom Cotton joined Senate GOP leadership as conference chair. Cotton's an all right guy, from what I recall. I think we lost our spot here. Crap. Yeah, there we go. Nancy Pelosi says she is doing terrible. There's lots of vodka involved. Perhaps gin. Perhaps both. Just one word response. Terrible. Tim Scott has been elected as NRSC chair. Says he'll follow on Trump's vision. Well, we'll just watch it here. Here we go.
Tim Scott.
Hey, brother. Without any question, President Trump set out to make sure that Americans felt like this country and the American dream was alive and well and there for them. From the border to fixing the economy, to solving the issue of crime, and restoring confidence on the global stage, President Trump has been very clear on his agenda. Our goal with our leader, John Thune, is to make sure that we achieve those objectives. My passion is making sure that we defend our current seats and expand the map and expand our majority so that President Trump does not have 2 years with a Republican majority in the Senate, and he has 4 years in control of making sure that America's agenda comes home to each and every household.
Tim Scott.
Well, I understand he intends to get quite a bit done in the span of just 2 years. Not even. I think the date was July of, was it, I think 2026. As a gift to America for her 250th birthday. I think it was something to do with the Department of Government Efficiency proposed. I think they're intended to have finished their work, if I remember right from his announcement, by July 4th of 2026. But that's a crazy, like, insane task. These are photos of Trump where? At House GOP. Nice photos. Very nice. It's a great one. Here's Thune.
We have the team assembled. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in America. The American people have loudly rejected the failed policies of the Biden, Harris, Schumer agenda. And this Republican team is united. We are on one team. We are excited to reclaim the majority and to get to work with our colleagues in the House to enact President Trump's agenda. We have a mandate from the American people, a mandate not only to clean up the mess left by the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda, but also to deliver on President Trump's priorities. We will make sure that the President and his team have the tools and the support that they need to enforce border security laws and to remove the violent criminals who are wreaking havoc in every one of our states. We will work to make America prosperous again by streamlining the bureaucratic machine and overturning costly Biden-Harris regulations. And we will work to restore American energy dominance. Not just our energy security, but energy dominance, which will lower costs and bolster our national security. I'm excited to get to work with this team right away. And I want to thank my colleagues who placed their faith in me to serve as leader, and to those who were supporting another candidate. I promise to be a leader who serves the entire Republican conference. We will have an ambitious agenda, and we'll take each and every Republican working together to be successful. With that, I want to turn things over to Senator John Barrasso, the newly elected Republican whip.
Well, we'll see if somehow Thune has become a convert over the span of the last, I don't know, year or two. Or at the very least, how badly he wants to keep his seat next time he's up for re-election. New Senate GOP leadership team, Cotton defeated Ernst for the number 3 spot. Other than majority leader, the rest were uncontested. Barrasso for assistant majority leader. Tom Cotton, number 3. Policy Committee Chair Shelley Moore Capito. Then Langford, James Langford as Conference Vice Chair, and Tim Scott as Senatorial Committee Chair. Van Jones, Fox News host, running the military is very, 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 very alarming.
How it would actually operate are fuzzy. Meanwhile, Fox News host
is. But we let in TikTok.
In the history of the world, there's not.
Define, what are the qualifications?
I know Van Jones doesn't actually talk like that.
Where's the job description? Look, Pete, fecklessly across the United States or float across the state.
Come on, get to Van Jones complaining. I don't want to watch a full ass 7 freaking minute clip of CNN. Fucking Van Jones whining. Come on, where's the part where Van Jones talks? Jeez, they just have him staring. There he is.
And there's not even number 2. And so the idea that our military, there's something wrong with it, our generals are terrible, this is a fiction. And so when you start trying to solve non-existent problems with the best fighting force in the world, you actually create problems. And I don't think there's any evidence or any data that shows that having women involved in our military has made our military worse.
Oh, gosh. It's like...
Where is the evidence of this? This is all fiction, it's all ideology, and it's all quite frightening.
The evidence is everywhere around you, Van.
And,
everywhere.
And I don't think anybody can defend this choice. This is not somebody who, he's a Fox News host who used to be in the military. If that's the standard we're going to be going with, I think it's very alarming.
Yeah, they are predictably upset by Hegseth. And focusing, of course, on the Fox News host bit. Thune was asked if he has any doubts on Trump's nominees. Okay, let's hear.
And when it comes to choosing nominees who will pass Senate confirmation?
Well, as you know, the Senate has a advise and consent role under the Constitution, so we will do everything we can to process his noms quickly, get them installed in their position so they can begin to implement his agenda.
Okay. Just promises to get them installed quickly. That's a pretty clear statement. So if he does not hold to that and fast, people will be upset. Mike Benz breaks down what the left censorship will look like in the Trump era. It's actually a good question. He says in the year ahead, you'll see blue states try to pass, state laws. Excuse me, to impose censorship and content reporting compliance measures to limit the ability to host political ideas they can't outcompete at the ballot box. While pursuing this state strategy, it will also, of course, go abroad. Yep. Try to encourage our allies and neighbors to put pressure on multinational social media companies. That way you don't even need legislation here at home. Yeah. I think he's probably about right. How quick is that? That's a pretty quick clip. Why not? Let's watch it.
Yeah, they have two main strategies for this. There's the state strategy, and then there's the global strategy. So the state strategy is going to involve a whole swarm of new state laws: California, Oregon, Washington, New York, Illinois, all the big blue states, there's going to be a big push by the censorship industry activists there to codify laws that put restrictions on the kind of content that social media platforms can host. And their goal there is going to be to balkanize the country and create a sort of market disruption so that the only tech companies who are allowed to proliferate that kind of content there, lest they lose their ability to operate in the state or suffer heavy revenue fines, are going to be the ones who comply with those content restrictions. They're also going to use a push around something called media literacy, which is those states are going to box out social media platforms that allow free speech and box out news institutions like the War Room, in order to prevent them from being accessed in public Wi-Fi's, in order to be able to prevent them from being cited in high school or middle school or elementary school exams. You already see this. A major push to start that effort began in 2021. It really began in 2017, but it's escalated dramatically in the past few years. And it will fall on effectively the legal system to enforce the First Amendment against these states, which are going to try to create state level restrictions on what the platforms can host.
Yep. Huh. Sean Spicer. Oh, gosh. Pardon me. Advice for the next White House press secretary: restore access to independent reporters. Indeed. Biden press office stripped the hard passes of over 400 independent reporters, and a good first step would be to restore their access. I would take access. Give me access. I want to be there every dang day. Elon having a little fun. How to drive X users crazy. Yeah. Official account for the Department of Government Efficiency is live. Oh, look at that. At Doge. Interesting. Chicago mayor called out for claiming Trump is a threat to black families. Americans have spoken. Brandon Johnson, that's his freaking name, that idiot. Let's hear it.
Hear this. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson blasting President-elect Trump as a threat to his city.
Oh, gosh.
The president-elect, former President Trump, his threat is not just towards new arrivals and undocumented families. His threats are also against black families. We're going to stand up, we're going to protect undocumented individuals. We're going to protect black folks, brown folks, Asian folks. The city of Chicago will be better, stronger, and safer despite who's in the White House.
This as Chicago is set to hold a special session tomorrow on the mayor's $300 million tax hike that many fear will fund the city's migrants. Illinois Senate candidate, former Chicago gangster and founder of Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change.
Whatever, Brandon. Okay. Axelrod pushes for Rahm Emanuel as DNC chair. Wouldn't that be something? Blast from the past there. Oh boy. Yeah, doesn't really come more corrupt than that. That's like, yeah, wow. It'd be so on brand. Perfect choice. Axelrod, way to go. Perfect choice. Has CNN lost their minds? They're saying he did not win the popular... They're claiming he didn't win the popular vote now.
And he's claiming a popular vote victory that did not occur. I mean, I think we heard some of that in the beginning of that speech, but
did not occur to the size he said it. He may very well have a popular vote victory when all the
by
votes
7.1 million. That's not the case.
Oh, yeah, way to go. Your colleague caught you there. Should thank him later.
That will not be the case. See, and obviously there
may have just saved your ass.
Still a million plus, maybe 2 million votes to count out of California. I would imagine the national popular vote will continue to narrow in margin, though it looks like Donald Trump will indeed have this new victory that he did not have the last time around, that he was elected president, which is not just in the Electoral College, but also claiming a national popular vote mandate.
Wow. Mayor Eric Adams. We're flying into the future of public safety with a new effort to keep New Yorkers safe at all hours. Oh, he did a whole ass live stream. 30 minutes. Can we just give me some... Just give me a sampling.
SAR is public safety. It's a prerequisite to prosperity, and we are not going to leave any stone unturned to accomplish that task.
Turning them stones.
In this administration and this police department is that we have taken public safety from the one-dimensional, on-the-ground approach, and we found a cost-saving way of using the skies as using it as a method to keep New Yorkers safe. And it is pennies on the dollars in comparison to what it takes to
pennies on the dollars
use a helicopter,
y'all,
which was the primary mode of using our skies. We're doing it differently, and this was part of our overall mission when we came into office.
Wait, he's talking about using drones instead of helicopters? Wow, genius.
Commissioner,
that he stayed up all night thinking of that.
Interim Commissioner Tom Dowling has continued that mission, as we see for 10 straight months, a decrease in crime. But I say over and over again that time and time, I'm a big believer in technology. I don't know if many of you notice that.
But I have a new cell phone.
The incoming president is using DigiDog, one of the technologies that we used here. He's using it in Florida now to protect his grounds. It just shows that we have been leading from the front. And before
tip of the spear and all,
we take this next step, we want to give a presentation. And
they're gonna give a presentation. Oh my goodness. If only I had the time. Glenn Beck says, I believe Trump is letting the Senate vote without influence. However, the minute whomever they choose doesn't move his agenda forward, J.D. Vance will take the Senate like John Adams did as the VP. That's a nice cope and all. I mean, we'll see. President Trump has spoken to Thune.
Let's go back to Chad Pergram. He's live on Capitol Hill. What do we know has transpired in the last 30 minutes, Chad?
Well, John, a busy day for the incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune. He has already spoken with the president-elect, Donald Trump. We don't know the details of that conversation, but that's something that's just emerged after he was elected to be the Majority Leader. He takes that position in the new Congress. Now, John Thune, he just held a press conference a few minutes ago. He was asked a lot about how he would run the Senate. Would he maintain the legislative filibuster? He said yes. And the onus is going to be on the Republican Senate to get some of these nominations through. He was asked about how much trouble that would be, and he said, look, we have advice and consent responsibilities in the Senate. We will move them in an expeditious fashion. Now, Josh Hawley, he's a Republican senator from Missouri. He ultimately supported John Cornyn, but he did say that he was pleased with Thune's commitment to the other Republicans in the conference. John?
Let's go back to Chad Pergram. He's live on Capitol Hill.
Oh, they're talking. All right. To the end, John Roberts has me rolling. Biden being gracious.
Which is what Michael Waltz has been talking to us about for years, incessantly saying that this White House has not been doing enough to address any of that. So
just want to note
I'm not sure
that,
how much of a briefing he needs.
Well, and he just said himself, Jake Sullivan, that Karine Jean-Pierre is going to give us more scoop on what was said at that meeting between President Biden.
We're gonna get the scoop from Chocolate Sunshine.
President-elect Donald Trump. Interesting, though, there's some exclusive reporting from the New York Post that
2 scoops or 1?
That spoke to President Trump as he was leaving to JBA following the White House meeting. He said it's going very smoothly. Both really enjoyed seeing each other. He said, we talked a lot about the Middle East. I wanted to know his views, Trump said about Biden. I wanted to know his views on where we are and what he thinks. And he gave them to me. He was very gracious, says Trump, about meeting with President Biden.
Whoa, Trump said that, huh? Interesting. Okay.
This is the guy who said he wanted to smack
Wanted to know his views on the Middle East, and he gave them to me.
him in the patootie and take him out behind the gym.
Wait, hold up. What?
He was very gracious, says Trump, about meeting with President Biden.
This was the guy who said he wanted to smack him in the patootie and take him out behind the gym at various
I forgot about that one. Oh my gosh.
points during the election campaign. So it seems that it would be nice if they were gracious to each other. It seems as though that likely was the case. Decorum.
Dang, Joe, I didn't know you swung that way, man. Shit.
Ruled the day.
Yeah, and by the way,
thing to say.
Karine Jean-Pierre is going to take to the microphone, so we'll get back.
Wants to smack him on the patootie and take him out behind the gym. We all know what happens behind the gym. Why is... Oh, here we go. Now we get chocolate sunshine with 2 scoops. Or maybe 1, I don't know. We'll see. Why is Biden meeting with President Xi? Meeting with President Xi, huh? With only 68 days left. No joke.
How the President Biden, and also First Lady Dr. Biden greeted President-elect Trump upon his arrival, and just to add a little bit of color there, she gave the President-elect a handwritten letter to congratulate Mrs. Trump, and so also express their readiness to be involved and engaged with her team, Mrs. Trump's team, and so that specific piece, obviously, I would direct to the First Lady's office, but yes, they first met and greeted each other in the diplomatic room.
But Jake or nobody else came in, or
it was just the 4. It was just the 4 of them, as far as who was in the room with the president.
And it was in the Oval the whole time.
As far, yes, it was in the Oval. The Oval meeting was in the Oval, as I just stated, and you flagged for me.
The Oval meeting was in the Oval. Scoop number 1.
They greeted the president. They, meaning the First Lady, and also the President Biden greeted President-elect Trump when he arrived.
I have one other question about this weekend that people might wonder.
Yeah.
It's their 3rd meeting since President Biden took office, but why bother having a meeting with Chinese President Xi if there's only 68 days left to go in the Biden administration?
I think, look, this is, Joe Biden. He understands the importance of having face-to-face, one-on-one conversations with world leaders.
Is that what you call them?
And I think Jake did a pretty good job laying out what's next, what they are thinking about, the reason for having the bilat. But it is an opportunity. They're both going to be in Peru. They're both going to be attending the APEC conference. It was an opportunity for them to meet. I think it's important. The issues that they're obviously going to speak about are important to the American people. As you think about national security, you think about Indo-Pacific. And so, I think this is very much something that the president would do, have that face-to-face, have those in-person conversations with other world leaders on issues that matter here to us and obviously globally. Yeah, Peter.
Thanks, Green. What on earth? I didn't even know what we're watching. Okay. Oh, no. Go back. There was more. There was more chocolate. More chocolate sunshine. Yeah. Deucey, did President Biden show incoming President Trump anything classified? Good question. Deucey.
Thanks, Green. Did President Biden show incoming President Trump anything classified?
No.
No. Why not?
Why would he? This was an opportunity for them to speak candidly, openly. I've said to you that it was gracious, it was incredibly substantive, and I'll just leave it there. That it was gracious, it was incredibly substantive,
Sumptuous? Substantive. I don't know. No clue. Did the issue of the fact that President Biden did not acknowledge that President Trump did not acknowledge President Biden as the winner of the 2020 election come up today? A non-answer probably follows.
Did the issue of the fact that President Trump did not acknowledge President Biden as the winner of the 2020 election come up today?
What we want to do is move forward.
Yes. So you're not going to say, or
We do. No, seriously, what we want to do is move forward. We respect the will of the people. There was an election, as you know, last week, and the American people spoke. And so the president is going to make sure that he puts the American people first. He's going to make sure that we move forward in this process, in this transition process, in a way that is respectful to the American people and to lead by example. And so that's our focus. That's what we want to do. I think the president has shown that in the past week of that leadership. And so that's what you're going to hear. That's what we're going to continue to do in the 68 days that we have left in this administration.
Oh, there's more.
That just seems like a piece of unfinished business between them. Did it come up at all?
Look, that is something certainly that I would leave for the president-elect to speak to. What I can speak to is this president wanting to focus on the American people, wanting to focus on issues that matter, domestic policy issues, national security issues that are critical and important in how we move forward as a country. That's what the president wanted to focus on. Again, it was gracious, it was substantive, and I think that's what's important. And what we are showing the American people is how you do this. How do you have a peaceful transition of power, how it looks, and leading by example. And that is quintessential Joe Biden.
Of course. Only way they can save face, I guess, at this point. Mike Johnson told me does he get asked about the secret? Told me they have a well-designed playbook and they're prepared to execute with precision. So what Thune is walking into is something that has been prepared over the last few months by Speaker Mike Johnson, who has the support of President Trump. And by President Trump. Ooh, interesting.
That includes Mike Johnson.
Yeah, the clip is unfortunately basically inaudible.
And Trump, he's the third to come on board. Mike Johnson told me they have a well-designed playbook.
What did she say right before that?
Structure that includes Mike Johnson and Trump. He's the third to come on board. Mike Johnson told me.
Mike Johnson and Trump. Mike Johnson told me.
They have a well-designed playbook, and they are prepared to execute with precision. So what Thune is walking into is something that has been prepared over the last few months by the House Speaker Mike Johnson, who has the support of President Trump, and by President Trump. So he is walking into something that has been prepared.
Interesting. What kind of playbook would that be? A trap, perhaps? Could be, I guess, depending on how Thune behaves himself. That is an interesting clip there. Good find. Ted Olson, conservative lawyer and former U.S. Solicitor General, dies at the age of 84. What is he famous for here? Any particularly important incidents? Oh, Citizens United. Yeah. Trump announces the nomination of Senator Marco Rubio. Well, it ended up being true. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. I will grant that he has definitely seemed to move in our general direction. Seems to have tried to make an effort to move towards MAGA area and away from the old bubble party Marco. I don't know how complete the transformation is, but I guess we will see. For better or for worse. Trump announces Tulsi as Director of National Intelligence. That's right. Not quite sure how I feel about that either. Believe she does have an intelligence background, right? In military. Let me check real quick. Okay, pretty sure she does, right? Where's her military career, military service? National Guard, Infantry Brigade Combat Team. Yeah, there it is. There it is. She continued to serve as a major in the Hawaii Army National Guard until her transfer to the 351st Civil Affairs Command, a California-based U.S. Army Reserve unit assigned to the U.S. Army Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Command. After serving with them for 17 years, she left the Hawaii Army National Guard for a new assignment with the California-based Army Reserve Unit. And then on July 4th, 2021, was promoted to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, where she was deployed to the Horn of Africa, working as a civil affairs officer in support of a special operations mission. Huh. Oop. Okay. There we go. Trump announcing Gates here as AG. That is another unexpected choice. Was not expecting that at all. I'm not, again, not sure how to feel about it. I don't know. It all kind of depends on who Matt Gaetz really is, I guess. And that's something I don't know the answer to. A lot I like about Matt Gaetz, but there's definitely some questions there too. So Trump says here, "It is my great honor to announce that Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is hereby nominated to be AG of the United States. Matt is a deeply gifted and tenacious attorney, trained at William & Mary College of Law, who's distinguished himself in Congress through his focus on achieving desperately needed reform at the DOJ. Few issues in America are more important than ending the partisan weaponization of our justice system. Matt will end weaponized government, protect our borders, dismantle criminal organizations, and restore America's badly shattered faith and confidence in the Justice Department. On the House Judiciary Committee, which performs oversight of DOJ, Matt played a key role in defeating the Russia hoax and exposing alarming and systemic government corruption and weaponization. He's a champion for the Constitution and the rule of law." Yeah, I would have thought, I would have thought that he would have gone to like a state level AG, one of the good ones, rather than Gaetz. But I mean, Gaetz is a lawyer. I was not, that was probably like one of the last people I would have expected, but hey, I don't know. Maybe that's part of why it was done. Okay, here's Gates.
All right, we've got another Trump appointment, and this is one that is probably going to surprise a lot of people.
I don't know, I guess they're just talking about it.
Because he was not on any of the lists that were floating around out there. And there had been some discussion that President-elect Trump was having trouble making this final decision, or maybe this is the person he had in mind all along. But he has now nominated Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz as Attorney General of the United States. He just wrote this on Truth Social. Quote, Matt is a deeply gifted and tenacious attorney, trained at William & Mary College of Law, distinguished himself in Congress through his focus on achieving desperately needed reform at the Department of Justice. Few issues in America are more important than ending the partisan weaponization of our justice system. Matt will end weaponized government, protect our borders, dismantle criminal organizations, and restore Americans' badly shattered faith and confidence in the Justice Department. All right, we've got
Yeah. This could get very interesting really fast with these people in position, depending on, I mean, a whole bunch of things, but a lot of big shakeups. Oh my God. Yeah. Then there was this power lesbian married to a trans person who worked for the Daily Beast, killed her father with an ice axe, and confessed to police that she freaked out, claiming there was something important about Election Day. Wait, what does that even mean? She watched as her dad died from his wounds and then smashed windows in an act of liberation. Yep. That's, I guess, where we're at. They've all gone off the deep, I mean, even like statistically speaking, gone off the deep end. They're all pretty much across the board mentally ill. Leftist women have just, like, it's a serious problem. We have an entire generation of young women who belong in padded rooms 24/7. I don't know about an entire generation, but a significant portion of an entire generation of women. And then a whole bunch of young men who have swung generally pretty hard to the right. I don't even want to think about the, like, I guess it's like the sociological implications of that. Like, what, I have to imagine it's not going to be good for the birth rate. Maybe that's actually part of why Musk is encouraging people who are of age now to have babies, like now. Jeez. Because that's not gonna intermesh well. I mean, a bunch of young Trump-supporting men who want to get out there and conquer something, conquer the world in their own little way, make something of themselves, you know, do men stuff, and then an entire, well, again, not entire, but a huge portion of young women like this. Straight if they're lucky. Yeah, it's not looking good. So what happened? What happened here? Maybe any more details? Not that I want to hear them. Let's search for it. Where's the power lesbian? Power lesbian. Filters. Today. Aw. That wasn't enough. Lesbian kills father. Come on. Filters. This week. Jeez, man. What's the guy got to do to get a fun video about a power lesbian ice axe murder? That's so much to ask for? Oh well. I'm surprised there's no videos on that, dude. Such a crazy story. You'd think there would be something. Maybe YouTube's just blocking the word lesbian? No? It's giving me gay stuff. Maybe they haven't had time yet. Alright, we already saw Pollard Market. Big deal. No telling where that's going to lead just yet. Musk holding, photographed here, holding a folder that reads "Reverse the Curse" as he leaves the GOP meeting today. I don't know if anyone has turned this up, but this is actually a, or I don't know how widely it was even known, but it's a budget plan. There it is. You can actually go get the PDF yourself. Should be more or less exactly what he had. There you go. A quote from James Madison in the upper right. A public debt is a public curse. Reverse the curse. The plan to restore fiscal responsibility, economic freedom, and prosperity in America. That'd be the one. There it is. So that's what he's reading. That's what, or I guess that's what they were going over in whatever meeting he was a part of here. The GOP. We have any pages we can check out here? Let's see. Biden's reckless spending and failed economic policies. Got some pretty photos. Very nice. Lighting the way. Principles for restoring fiscal responsibility. Path to balance and beyond. Right-sizing the bloated bureaucracy. Some good signs. For sure. All right, from colleagues Liz Elkind and Kelly Fairs. Two sources say the room of House GOPers at their conference meeting was surprised, and there were audible gasps at the announcement of Matt Gaetz as AG. One source said, quote, "There are a lot of haters. The question will be how many will be public about it." Huh. I mean, just based on that alone, he's probably going to be a good choice. It's the hate gauge. The more they hate him, the better he's going to be. Hopefully. I mean, that whole adopted Cuban son thing is kind of weird. But hey, who am I to judge? Maybe it was a legit adoption. I don't know. It was weird. The whole thing is it's a bit weird. Like, how old was he when he was supposed to have adopted the kid? He had to have been pretty young, like his 20s, right? and you single. This is pretty strange, but again, I don't know. The kid in question seems, for his part, to have turned out like a normal young man, from what I could find. What's his name again? Forget his name. Let me find it. Gates. Cuban. Nestor. Yep. Okay. Trump ally Mike Johnson won internal GOP election to remain Speaker of the House. MSNBC reporter Ken Delanian says Justice Department officials are calling Trump's nomination of Matt Gaetz for AG insane. Insane.
Well, Katie, I've gotten...
That's probably a good sign.
2 different texts from different people at the Justice Department who just used the word insane to respond and react to this potential appointment, and then also questioning whether Matt Gaetz can be confirmed. And one person asked me to research whether anyone had ever been nominated for the post of Attorney General who had been investigated by the Justice Department. We'll have to look into that, but my initial reading is that I can't think of any time that's ever happened in American history. And not only was Gaetz investigated and not charged, we should point out, in a sex trafficking investigation.
Yeah, you should.
But he has been perhaps among the top 5 most vociferous critics of the FBI and the Justice Department, and not just critics, but accusing them of being corrupt and weaponized and unethical at every single congressional hearing that ever, anytime, he's on the Judiciary Committee, and anytime Chris Wray, the FBI director, or Merrick Garland, Attorney General, or other lower officials have gone before that committee, you could count on Matt Gaetz taking aim at them in very extreme language and accusing them of unethical and corrupt behavior. And so, look, I was over at the Justice Department earlier today doing some reporting on this question of how are career officials responding to this election result. What do they plan to do? There is no plan for a mass exodus among career officials. As Andrew said, they are used to serving Republicans and Democrats. They are used to changing policies on a dime and going from aggressively pursuing civil rights investigations into police departments, for example, and not doing that at all, depending on who's in office. But this kind of appointment is really striking fear and trepidation in the hearts of the career civil servants over there.
Ooh, that's good.
Because what they revere above all is respect for the law and procedure and norms. And look, we can't prejudge. I mean, Matt Gaetz may become a different person if he gets confirmed as Attorney General. But what he's shown so far as a member of Congress is disdain for the Department of Justice.
I mean, I don't know that you can say that he's shown disdain for the whole damn thing, but certainly for the way it's been abused. Asked about Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, GOP Senator John Kennedy says, "Happy Thanksgiving," and walks into the building. I like it. He didn't vote for Scott, but I mean, at least I don't think he was on the list of people that voted for him. But I like Kennedy a lot. Republicans will keep control of the House of Representatives, CBS News projects, giving the GOP both chambers of Congress as well as the White House and the Supreme Court and the popular vote.
So we think, you see the 218, that's a minimum. When you say maybe more, Republicans could end up around 221, maybe plus or minus 1, maybe 220, maybe 222, something right around there. And there's a few House races still outstanding. But the way that this happened really came down a lot to California. We did make a projection in Arizona today. We zoom in really on Southern California. And when people ask, why does this take so long? I want to give people some context. California allows ballots to arrive up until yesterday. They vote by mail, so it takes a while to count. The story here, I'm going to tap on a couple of these, where you've got some of the races that were tight. Democrats were able to hold on down and around an area you and I know well. as we head down towards Orange County, San Diego area. So Democrats held on a couple there, but Republicans tended to do well around the Central Valley. This race was projected today in the 41st, and there's another one that we are watching very closely up around the north part of Orange County for Michelle Steele here. So what the overall point here is not much has really changed from the last Congress to this one. So
Must be a heavily Asian district. My goodness.
Republicans just edging over that 218 that they would need, Major.
And Anthony, would you say those California results reflected in part the larger percentage of the popular vote that President-elect Trump pulled out of California this time around?
You know, California, a lot of this has to do with how they draw their districts. California has more competitive districts, not just because of the geography that you see here, a lot of Democrats concentrated across in the coast, more Republicans in the Inland Empire and the Central Valley, but also because via a commission, you don't get as many heavily gerrymandered, heavily partisan districts. That's part of the story as well, Major.
Anywhere on that map, California or otherwise, where House Democrats did well?
Here and there, there's a couple outstanding. We're going to watch Iowa 1 from here. Not necessarily going to go Democratic, but it's still outstanding. The Ohio 9th is one. Oh, I hit Michigan instead of...
You hit Michigan.
Ohio there, Major. But
I know how that happens.
You know, not that, you know. After enough time talking this, you would think I would never miss tap, but there you go.
You would think that you would not tap the screen in the wrong. Yeah. Fucking weirdos, dude. Okay. ABC News. Law enforcement officials in Jal, New Mexico, are investigating the discovery of multiple human skulls, including one connected to a woman's disappearance in 2019. Jeez. Okay. Like, were they all together? Okay, yes, they were. Wow, that's what the heck.
Deficiency is gonna.
That clearly has nothing to do with this. Okay, the Lehigh County Sheriff's Office said that a resident on November 5th, Election Day, reported having an unsettling encounter while giving someone a ride. The resident said that their passenger, who had 2 bags with him, made alarming statements and discarded objects from the vehicle, some of which appeared to be human bones. What the heck? Searches of a home where the man had been staying turned up additional bone fragments, including evidence of 10 to 20 human skulls. Now being analyzed for potential identification. Officials said the case is closely tied to the 2019 disappearance of a woman named Angela McMains. Tied how, I wonder? Her last known residence, was near the man's address, where many of the skull bone fragments were discovered. Jeez. 10 to 20 human skulls. Did they just have a freaking... Well, I mean, clearly they must have had a serial killer just kind of hanging out under their noses the whole time. Right down the road from one of these women. Good golly. I don't know if there's any stories on this one. New Mexico skulls. Yep.
But a chance encounter leads the Lee County Sheriff's Office to a grisly discovery of as many as 20 skulls at a home in Jail, New Mexico. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says last Tuesday, Cecil Villanueva of JAL made alarming statements to a man who was giving him
Like
a ride.
what?
The driver said Villanueva had 2 bags and tossed objects from the car that appeared to be human bones. Deputies searched near a convenience store and found human bone fragments. A search of Villanueva's home on South 4th Street revealed 10 to 20 human skulls. The sheriff's office says this case is tied to the
Is he a migrant?
disappearance of Angela McMains in 2019. McMains lived near Villanueva's home. The Office of the Medical Investigator is analyzing all of the remains. They're working to determine any connection to McMains or other victims. We will keep you updated on this story right here on air and, of course, online as we get more information.
Wow.
Lee County Sheriff's Office says the skull.
Yep. Creepy. I wonder what the statements that he made to the Uber driver were. U.S. power use... Oh, power... Oh, what the heck? Post deleted. Weird. Well, let's see the headline here. U.S. power use to reach record highs in 2024 and 2025. Not massively, just slightly. Just a slight rise. Eric Swalwell whining about Matt Gaetz. This should be great.
Here we are. What do you think?
Well, to the president, I say, no, seriously, who is your pick for Attorney General? Because this pick is a middle finger to Democrats and sane Republicans. And it's not being panned only by Democrats, Aaron. My Republican friends in
So Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger?
the House are also clowning this pick. They're saying it publicly, as you just read off, but they're also saying it privately. And that was the mood earlier at the Capitol. And so, Donald Trump, not known for having a sense of humor, credit to you, you landed a good joke on the country. But this is a position, considering what it oversees: counterterrorism, money laundering, public corruption.
Yeah, you're right. It does oversee that, Eric.
Child trafficking. It's worthy of being taken seriously. And also should tell you everything about Matt Gaetz, that he would allow himself to be used by the president to try and own the libs with something that we know is never going to pass in the Senate.
What?
Well,
Never going to pass in the Senate, huh? Okay. Guess we'll see. CNN hyperventilating over the thought of Matt Gaetz as AG.
Biden administration, no one is endorsing this.
What's your analysis, Ellie?
No one. Literally no one.
This is a crazy pick. This is a dangerous
It's crazy
pick. I wish there was a gentler way to say it, but there's no use mincing words. I was a prosecutor for a long time.
Biden administration.
Matt Gaetz has resigned from Congress after being nominated to be the next AG. Why immediately? Let's hear it.
Matt and I were classmates. We came to Congress at the same time.
That's an interesting move. Why? Curious to hear the answer.
In the 115th Congress in January 2017, and alphabetically we're seated right next to one another in Judiciary Committee. We served there together for 7 years. Some of y'all who cover Judiciary know those are long meetings, so I got to know Matt very well. Look, I'll say this. Everyone who served with him will tell you he's one of the most intelligent members of Congress. He's an accomplished attorney. He's very concerned about the lawfare that has been occurring in the Department of Justice under the Biden administration, and the fact that the American people have lost their faith in our institutions of justice because of everything that they've seen. He's a reformer in his mind and heart, and I think that he'll bring a lot to the table on that. I think out of deference to us, he issued his resignation letter effective immediately of Congress. that caught us by surprise a little bit, but I asked him what the reasoning was, and he said, well, you can't have too many absences. So under Florida state law, there's about an 8-week period to select and fill a vacant seat. And so by doing so today, that allows me, I've already placed a call to Governor DeSantis in Florida and said, let's start the clock. He's in Italy at the moment, and so we're going to talk first thing in the morning about this. And if we start the clock now, if you do the math, we may be able to fill that seat as early as January 3rd when we take the new oath of office.
Wow, so they're trying to get that seat back in action. Wow, it's smart.
It's for the new Congress. So, Matt,
if they can pull it off, that's the big question. But I'm assuming if they're making these moves already, they've got his approval in the Senate in the bag already, behind the scenes, somehow.
Would have done us a great service by making that decision as he did on the fly, and so we're grateful for that. So we move forward. Look, I'll say this about people have asked me all day long. President Trump is poaching all of your talent. Yes, but we have an embarrassment of riches here. The Republican.
So I don't know. This kind of. Huh. Now I'm kind of wondering about Kristi Noem and if my little theory is right.
Republican conference is full of talented people who are extraordinary leaders and have great expertise, and everyone in this Congress, in this conference, could serve in a leadership position in the administration. But I have.
Yeah, it's like they want to appoint people that they know will be largely loyal, who have elections coming up soon, so they can hold special, or at least relatively soon, so they can hold special elections now, get the seats replaced. Man, interesting. Okay. Oh, we get to hear from Gates here? Oh no, clip is old, from 2022.
You're still maintaining 2020 election was stolen. Are we still going with that?
Listen, I believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. I believe that he won the Electoral College.
You can't say that without saying that there was a gigantic conspiracy across this country and supervisor of elections offices everywhere to make this happen, and we haven't still seen any evidence that proves that.
Yeah, because so many of the courts that should have taken those matters up rejected evidentiary hearings on jurisdiction grounds. I mean, I know the affidavits that came out of Michigan regarding the TCF Center in Detroit established a factual basis to be able to go and have evidentiary hearings. But too often, I think judges just didn't have the courage to take it up, and it's most unfortunate. But I'm still engaged in the fight on election integrity going forward, because Florida used to be the laughingstock of elections, and Governor DeSantis fired the elections officials who didn't run clean elections, and now, lo and behold, Florida's a model for the country. So I want to bring Florida's message and our story to the rest of the country so that we don't have disputes over elections.
You're still maintaining 20.
Oh boy. Well, I think we know what he's going to be focusing on. Oh, yeah, there's the interview with Hegseth. Yeah, why don't we check some of that out since we got a little spare time here?
And once the combination of Floyd and January.
Let's see, we got a number of topics we can check out. VA and veterans issues, I guess we'll skip. Military shift and wokeness, that's probably worth checking out. Women in combat roles debate. We already know where that ends up. You don't like it, and neither do I. Probably most of you. China's strategic threat, that should definitely probably want to check that out. Public education system pitfalls. Who cares? He's going to be in defense. Homeschooling, that's cool, but he's going to be in Defense Department, so yeah, let's go. I definitely want to hear that China stuff. Let's hear a bit on the military shift first, and then we'll go to China.
5 boys and 2 girls, so that's a real question. You know, oldest is 14, youngest is 7. It doesn't And you hear time and time again.
Which institution?
The Department of Defense, the military, the Army, pick your service. And it started with a central question, the book. Would I recommend my kids join the Army today or the military today? And that used to be an open and shut case for me. It used to be absolutely hell yeah. Like, I want my kids to have the kind of ethos where they would. And we've got a blended family of 5 boys and 2 girls, so that's a real question. You know, oldest is 14, youngest is 7. Like, they're not that far away from having the opportunity to make that decision. Would I recommend that? And it used to be, of course I would. And over the last couple of years, it became clear, like, would I? I don't know. And you talk to more and more guys, and they're having the same, they're either a hell no, or they're saying, yeah, for the first time in my life, I'm in the family business. It was my dad, my grandfather, they all served, and I'm second guessing whether I want my kids to. And so the book kind of helped me figure that out. And the last chapter of the book is a letter to my boys about whether I would want them to serve. But, and I can lay that out, but I didn't write that chapter until the end. So I wrote the whole book, and then I was like, okay, I want to look at the depth of what's happening to our warriors, because it's not, the book isn't just how the military went woke. There's plenty of those examples, and we feature them prominently on Fox, and you've seen them, and just the nonsense. The deeper question is, how did the military allow itself to go woke? How did our general class, how did our military academies, how did military leaders who are expected to live by an ethos and a code, they're in the job of meritocracy and lethality, of excellence, of no excuses, of equality and unity, not equity and diversity is ours. The dumbest phrase on planet Earth in the military is our diversity is our strength. It's our unity is what unites us, our unity of effort, our ability to say, yes, we're different, but we come together as a team to accomplish a mission.
Thank you. Yes. I like him. I mean, this is great. Yeah.
And the better part of a year and a half talking to vets.
I don't watch Fox all that often, so I only really know him through, well, I mean, back when I used to watch Fox more often, and since then through just clips on the internet. This is my first kind of extended exposure to him in a long time. That is a very good sign right there. Very common sense.
And not just vets, but connecting through a network of a lot of guys I know. I host my show on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in New York. So I've got Saturday afternoon wide open. And I spent, for months, my Saturdays just on the phone, off the record, anonymously with guys in service. So senior listed, junior junior officers, senior officers, all branches, MOSs, eras, but mostly guys in right now, generals, privates. And all the same themes came out. Standards are dropping. The woke stuff is everywhere. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I heard that all the time. Eggshells. Wow. I'm a commander. I walk on eggshells. I train commanders. They're walking on eggshells. They're afraid of terrible one misstep on one identification or one gender thing or one racial thing or one trans thing. And the priorities are upside down on what the units are focusing on. And every single one of those distractions means we're less good at our job, which is supposed to be close with and destroy the enemy on behalf of our nation and bring our boys home.
Bingo.
That's all I care about. That's what I want the military focused on.
This guy is... Yes. Yes. Already, yes.
And so, I tell a few of my own stories in the book, but the book's not about me at all.
How do you think that this is happening?
Well, it's a long story. I think it's because they're ideologues who want to bring a meritocracy to heel. That's where I think it starts. I think you have politicians who don't want to tolerate an institution. First, they want to use it to tinker. And then they also don't want to tolerate an institution that's antithetical to their social experiments. Because the military, the book lays this out. Of course, like the integration of the military racially was a huge success. It was a huge success because black men and Hispanic men and others can perform just as well as white guys in any capacity that they're.
That is largely true. From what I know, aside from the gang activity that's leaked in, partially related to that, to racial integration. Other than that, though, it's been, decently successful.
They're given. So the reality of life reinforced that the bigotry we saw on the outside should not be tolerated inside the military, and the military did a great job doing that. But now we're pushing boundaries on lots of different levels that are different than that, because men and women are different. Because being transgendered in the military causes complications and differences. And the book kind of lays out the common arguments that those on the left or others make, which are baked in social justice. So it started, you saw it under Clinton with the tinkering of Don't Ask, Don't Tell and the reasons for those changes. And I talked to some of the people involved in when that was changed. But it really started to accelerate under Obama. And you saw it you saw the trans stuff come at the end of the Obama administration. You saw the women in combat come at the end of the Obama administration. It's because they looked around at the bureaucracies that they controlled in Washington, and the one that was that they didn't control. Obama spent a disproportionate amount of time focusing on the Pentagon. They were skeptical of leadership and eventually brought in political appointees and generals who would do their bidding the way they wanted, which, as you know, in a top-down organization, changes the ethos of the whole thing. So the book is meant to pull the whole curtain back, mostly from Obama forward, and explain how the Army that I enlisted in, or that I swore an oath in 2001 and was commissioned in 2003, looks a lot different than the Army of today, because we're focused on a lot of the wrong things. I mean, you know this. You could talk.
I actually kind of like that he's young-ish too. I mean, not super young. He's got to be what, 40, like low 40s now. What is he? 43, 44. Was close. I like that though.
Talk about all day, I bet.
We could. I'm trying to organize my thoughts here and figure out what rabbit holes to go down. But I mean, they've been wildly successful in morphing the military into this whatever you want to call it. And I do want to. Do you want to talk about? I don't want to forget about having your kids join the military.
Sure. Yep.
Maybe we end with that.
Sure.
Because I have a lot of thoughts on that too. But I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I think about this all the time. I mean, you watch the show. I've had active duty guys on. I've had the most badass American warriors that we've ever produced on this show, and everybody says the same thing. They don't all say it on camera.
He's right. He does.
We don't always go into that, but I do ask them. All of them. Like, how is it? How is it in there? Especially the guys that just got out, they're all disgusted. They're all demoralized.
Totally.
I feel like the gas really got turned on when the defund the police movement happened.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to bleed in.
Yeah, it was all,
Because I thought the defund the police, I was like, this isn't about this shit. They want to rid the LE agencies of the old guard because they all think alike. They do a damn good job. And so let's destroy it and rebuild it with a new mindset. And that happened. I think that happened.
Yeah,
do you think it happened?
Yes.
Absolutely, it happened.
I mean,
it's not across the board yet, but it's well on its way.
If you look at the back cover of the book, it says, I joined the Army to fight extremists in 2001. 20 years later, that same Army labeled me one.
Yeah.
So I got out because, and I could tell the story or not, but I was deemed an extremist because of a tattoo by my National Guard unit in Washington, D.C.
Oh, is this where he shows the
my
tat?
orders were revoked.
Does he show it?
To guard the Biden inauguration.
It's a Jerusalem cross.
But all of this, so you have what happened with George Floyd.
What a punishment.
I know. It's actually, you put it that way, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. But you had the George Floyd riots, and then I was also in the DC Guard during what happened in front of the White House. You remember insurrection that no one calls an insurrection outside the White House when they, burned the church down and got to the gates of the White House. I was there the second night through the fifth night of all of that. I was a 04 major holding a riot shield because they didn't have enough guys. So we were just out there doing our thing and explain a little bit about that. That happens. Then January 6th happens. And both of those moments become pretenses for the DOD with political appointees who've long since been burrowed in and generals who are all in for the politically correct agenda. They maybe kept their head down during Trump because he didn't want to hear about it. Guys like Milley, guys like Austin, they were right there waiting in the wings, ready to go. And once the combination of Floyd and January 6th happened, they went all in on DEI and CRT and transformation, focusing on patriot extremism. We talk all about that in the book. Gadsden flags are signs of radicalism. Get the bumper sticker off your car. A Jerusalem cross tattoo, which is just a Christian symbol.
Is that the
this is the one?
Is that the tattoo?
Yep, right here. This one is what got me disinvited, or I'd never had orders revoked before. I mean, listen, it's a standard deal. You remember after January 6th, everyone was in Washington, D.C. Like Nancy Pelosi had the parking garages full of National Guardsmen. The fence was up. I was going, and my commander called me a day before tepidly and was like, Major, you can just stand down. We don't need you. We're good. And I'm like, what do you mean? Everybody's there. He's like, no. He couldn't tell me. And then, of course, when I was writing the book, I reached out to somebody in the unit who could confirm with 99.9% certainty, because he was in the meetings and on the emails. Nope, someone inside the DC Guard trolled your social media, found a tattoo, used it as an excuse to call you a white nationalist, an extremist, and you were specifically by name orders revoked to guard the inauguration because you were considered a potential threat.
What the frick?
How is that? It's the cross.
It's a Christian symbol. That's all it is. There's a lot of guys with, I got a Christian symbol here. I got, no, because it wasn't about that. It was about, I don't know, was it I'm too conservative? Is it because?
Jerusalem cross. There it is. Let's look at the history of this again. Yeah, that's right. It was the coat of arms of the Kingdom of Jerusalem back when it was still under Christian rule. Yep. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Let's see. Anything else interesting in here? Legacy. Oh, no. Go back to the cross. There we go. Well, the symbol of the fivefold cross appears to originate in the 11th century. Its association with the Kingdom of Jerusalem dates to the second half of the 13th century. Symbolism is variously given as the five wounds of Christ, Christ and the four evangelists, or Christ and the four quarters of the world. Huh. Symbolism of five crosses representing the five wounds is first recorded in the context of the consecration of the St. Brelade's Church under the patronage of Robert of Normandy before 1035. Crosses are incised in the church's altar stone. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Interesting. That's cool. Okay. Oh, back to it.
Because I'm a Trump supporter? Is it because I was a reporter on January 6th?
So they just didn't want you there.
I just
And
didn't
so
want me
that
there.
was
Then
the.
maybe I worked at Fox. Maybe that's what it was. They had decided Pete Hegseth is not qualified to guard the inauguration of a Democrat president, which is ridiculous because I volunteered to go to Afghanistan under Barack Obama. I'm no Democrat, but I was hopeful the surge in Afghanistan might work, and I volunteered to go in 2011, 2012. So it's never been about, for guys like you and me, it's never been about Republicans and Democrats. It's been about the Republic. And it's all been put into question in everyone's mind. And so there's a chance to course correct it, but it would take a new Trump administration going after it really hard.
How would they correct it?
Well, first of all, you got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke shit, has got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it, and that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that,
Good. Rewind the clock. Yes. Yes.
Did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people.
Yes.
That want to serve.
Yes.
And there's lots of other ways in which you could identify who gets promoted and what, but there's an ethos change. I mean, there's a reason people don't want to serve, because they don't trust that their senior leaders are going to have their best interest in mind in combat. I know there were mistakes made on our tours all over the place, but I, at least for the most part, had a sense that my senior leaders were committed to the completion of the mission for the right reasons. And maybe there were strategic differences and all that other stuff, and it wasn't always perfect, but that trust is broken, and you have to reestablish that trust by putting in no-nonsense warfighters in those positions who aren't going to cater to the socially correct garbage.
Yep. Yes.
I mean, you don't think we need to gut the entire institution? You think this?
Good question, Sean.
This is just coming from the top down?
I think right now my assessment based on talking to, is that it's a top-down, bottom-up problem. Is that you've got top-down political generals who've gained rank by playing by all the wrong rules that cater to the ideologues in Washington, D.C. And so they'll do any social justice, gender, climate, extremism crap because it gets them checked to the next level and gets them closer to the political appointees who don't know anything about the military, really, other than they want a new first here and a new first there, and can we get the first trans this or whatever, just nonsense. And then now you have a junior corps, which, listen, their incentive structure, whether it was in university or at service academies or just coming through college, is belief in these things. That diversity is our strength, that equity, that the standards could be racially biased, that showing up on time is a social construct, all these. So if you spend enough time with those two things meeting, you could have a wholesale takeover of the Defense Department. I do think there's still a core of mostly silent. They also pushed out a lot of vaccine folks because of the vaccine.
Yeah, it's exactly what that was designed to do, is to get people to self-deport, basically.
I think
that's another one. Like that was a purge.
Engineered as well.
That's a purge of people. That's a purge of people of conscience. If you have enough of a
getting them to do it themselves, getting them to purge themselves. It's crazy.
Faith, belief, or whatever, purge out. Patriot extremism, purge out. So there was a big push of a lot of those people in the middle out. I still think, and I know enough guys and talked to enough who said, hey, I want to be in for the right reasons. I know what's wrong. It's jacked up. If I say something, I'm canned. But in a new environment, I think there's still a core there that's not. And here's the challenge: in Battle for the American Mind, my other book was about the state of education in America, which is total. I mean, government schools are, this as well as anybody, horror shows. But if you want to get out of them, you can. You can move. You can homeschool. You can. You got options for the most part. School. We only have one Defense Department. What's the option? Abandon it? And so if every patriot abandons it, what does it look like, and how is it utilized in the future?
All right, I want to go to the China stuff now. We're down to the. Sorry, I kept going with that. It was good. It was interesting. Let's see. What's he got to say about China?
Leader that starts to turn the ship around. And all the signs are already there with our military. I mean, I wish I would have checked these numbers before we jumped on today, but I mean, China's Navy is astronomically bigger than what we have now at this point. I mean, they're building I can't remember. Is it like a new aircraft carrier every year or every couple of
Something
months
like
or
that,
something
yeah.
like that?
It's scary.
We can't do that.
We could.
The Pentagon is in the book.
We could probably do that if we, I mean, given some time.
The exact amount of years, but in the past X number of years, 10, 12, 15, the Pentagon has a perfect record in all of its war games against China. We lose every time.
What the hell, dude?
Inside the Pentagon war games. We know what our real capability. You see, we didn't even get to this part of the war on warriors. I mean, the military-industrial complex, the way we procure weapon systems. We're always the way our system works, the way our bureaucratic system works, where the speed of weapons procurement works. We're always a decade behind in fighting the last war, whereas China, we have what did Rumsfeld say? You go to the war, the army you have. We have the army. China's building an army specifically dedicated to defeating the United States of America. That is their strategic outset. Take hypersonic missiles. Yep. So if our whole power projection platform is aircraft carriers and the ability to project power that way strategically around the globe, and yeah, we have a nuclear triad and all of that, but a big part of it. And if 15 hypersonic missiles can take out our 10 aircraft carriers in the first 20 minutes of a conflict.
Yep.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
I mean,
not good.
And when if they've already got us by the balls economically, which you pointed out very well, with our grid, culturally, there's plenty of elite capture going on around the globe.
This is just further cementing that this is the guy that needs to be where he's about to be.
I mean, and then microchips and everything. Why do they want Taiwan? They want to corner the market completely on the technological future. We can't even drive our cars without the stuff we need out of China these days. I mean, they have a full spectrum, long-term view of not just regional but global domination, and we have our heads up our asses.
Yes. Yes.
That's the terrorist threat of our border.
Oh man.
China probably has more people here, as many or more than these terrorist organizations planted.
You know what they're doing now? They have all these crypto scams. They're trying to suck all the money out of the country now. So they have all these crypto scams going on, and people are falling for it. And I'm not talking like chump change. I'm talking millions and millions of dollars.
Yep.
They come around, and basically what they do is they try to get you to invest in Bitcoin type crypto stuff, and they'll be like, hey Pete, give me 15 grand. I'll turn it into 45 in 2 weeks. You give them the 15 grand, like, all right, I can gamble that. And then they bring you 45 grand. The next one, it's 200,000. The next one's $1 million. And then the $1 million happens and it's gone.
Bye-bye.
And so they're funneling all the cash out of the country. This is a big thing that's happening right now in this county. I just got briefed up by the county sheriff's department on
Interesting.
Watch out, people.
This shit's, I think they just did they tracked a guy all the way to Vegas who was just bouncing from state to state to state doing this, and picked him up. And it's happening all over the place. They really have us from just about every angle.
Yeah.
And they have a grand plan and a grand strategy to, they believe the whole 20th century was anti-Chinese. The whole the whole security architecture from NATO to the World Bank to everything exists to serve America's interests, which in some parts they did exist to serve the interests of the winner. All those institutions, of course, have been totally corrupted and all of that. But originally they were meant to create a strategic architecture that reinforced the dominance of the West. So they reject all of those things. And they are seeking to...
We overextended ourselves. It was too big to manage. It was too easy to infiltrate and corrupt. It was stupid.
Only way they can implement a structure that serves them is by defeating us, and they know that. And they're ambitious enough, the leaders, Xi Jinping and others in the CCP, to put in a plan to do it. And we're too busy. And then we, not only did we not do anything about it, but we let in TikTok where they can trans our kids and they don't trans their kids.
Yeah.
This is why and not just because of this, but like my faith has become so much more important to me than politics, than the day-to-day grind. because we can invest all our time and all our energy in a political outcome, and it's not going to save us. So I'm grateful to know who my Lord and Savior is, and ultimately we know who wins the victory there. But it doesn't mean we don't need to still be actively involved in every way we can.
We still got to try.
Absolutely.
I'm with you, though. I am with you. But I mean, are you concerned about nuclear war?
Good question.
I
For
mean,
future
yes.
head of the DoD. Let's hear it.
In a general sense, I guess. I found overinflated from the beginning this idea that Vladimir Putin's attack on Ukraine was going to lead to nuclear war or war across the continent. I've always felt like it was, from the beginning, like a couple days in, I was like, this feels like a Putin's give me my shit back war. It kind of feels like, I feel like you've been pushing pretty hard, and we used to have the former Soviet Union, and we're pretty proud of that. And Ukraine was a part of it, and all these other countries, and I want my shit back. And I think I'm at the right time where I'm powerful enough to do it, and you're not quite on my border yet, and Biden's AWOL, so I'm going for it. And just like I did under my minor incursion under Obama, I got what I could. I got Crimea. Now I waited under Trump. Now I'm going to get my... And this idea that I hear all the time, and I've friends who would probably agree with us on most things. They're like, well, if you don't stop him in Ukraine, then he's going to go all the way to Poland. And he's going... I don't think he's...
Not alone.
I mean, maybe in a perfect world where he had unlimited capabilities and he could crown himself king of Europe, he would. I think he's probably knows enough to know that he's probably not going much further than Ukraine. And I don't think he's a suicidal maniac who's hell-bent on bringing in Armageddon through nuclear warfare. So hey, if Ukraine can defend themselves from that, great. But I don't want American intervention driving deep into Europe and making him feel like he's so much on his heels that then he does have to, because early on he was talking about nukes. If you remember, there was this, well, we'd have to use nuclear weapons here or there. So, I mean, I'd be interested in your thoughts on that, but it's not current. I mean, I guess if I'm thinking nukes too, the other part that concerned me is Iran having nuclear weapons. And that was always a bright line for us, because nuclear weapons in the hands of radical Islamists, whether it's Sunni stripe or Shia stripe, who believe they're...
Man, it's fascinating conversation. Jeez. I don't know who's due to be in at 8. Anyone know who's due to be in at 8? Anyone? I don't see anyone in here yet. Who is it usually? Heck. What day even is it? It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, I don't know. We'll keep going for a minute.
Changes the whole calculation. Like, if Al-Qaeda had a nuke, what would they do with it? They would use it.
Yeah.
Because the mullahs in Iran, in Tehran, do they really believe that, 70,000 martyrs in Iran is worth the destruction of Israel? I don't know, but should we find out? Or that the destruction of the United States or a major American city? So I've taken very seriously for a long time this idea that we can't tolerate an Iranian bomb, because I think Islamists with bomb is different than communists with bomb, even though, I don't know, but for different reasons.
I think, I mean, I'm probably going to contradict myself a little bit here, but I think that, we have tech that does not discuss, and I think that our tech, we're this close from having the Iron Dome that Israel has. I guess it's supposed to be LC, but I don't know if he's unable to. I don't know if he said he was unable to make it or what. Not sure. But if any host is hanging out there and wants to pop in for the remaining, there's Mo saving the day. Thank you, Mo. That would be awesome. That would be cool. Guess I'll take my YouTube down now before I forget. Bye, YouTube. See ya.